Okay, so today we're going to change the oil on this 2000 Toyota Progrès. It's a Japanese import. As you can see, it's right-hand drive. So here's underneath the hood here of this pretty sweet motor. It's the 1JZ GE. It's got twin cam 24 valve.
Inline 6.
Inline 6. And this is
valve timing, which is pretty crazy for a 2000.
Yeah. And this one is the naturally aspirated version. We were looking at the 2JZ
GE, which is basically, there's a 2JZ GT, which is like the twin turbo. And then there's the GE, which is kind of the North American counterpart to this guy, and that one is also naturally aspirated and an inline 6.
Just a rough layout here. We've got your engine oil filler cap here. You got your dipstick right here. So the first thing I'm gonna do is gonna take off this plastic guard here. What you're gonna need is a 10mm socket. So we got the cover off, and turns out there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, because there was one missing, 16 10mm screws slash bolts, I guess you want to call it that. So take all those off, and now we have access to our filter, which is located underneath what in North America would be the driver's side, but it's now the passenger side. So we've got our sump right here. This is our sump. We got our drain plug right there, and we got our filter up there. And we're gonna swap out the oil and the filter today. From whatever research we can find about this car, because they're very rare in North America, we're gonna try and compare the size with an M1-102 Mobile 1 filter. And there were multiple oil weights that were specified, or that we've tried to find on forums and whatnot. And we've decided to go with the standard 5W30 option, full synthetic. Loosen off the engine filler cap, engine oil filler cap. That way it allows air to go in as we drain the oil out. So the size of the drain plug is 14mm, and we're just gonna loosen it off. And it's a good idea to wear gloves, but just be cautious. The oil should be hot prior to changing your oil. So you just want to crack the nut there, and try not to drip your drain plug into the dirty oil. Okay, so most of the oil is now drained out. So we're gonna put our drain plug back in. And then take your 14mm socket and just cinch her up. Just hand tight is fine. That way you'll be able to get it undone again, but it's not gonna come off as you're driving. The size that fits on the bottom of that filter is a 76/14 oil filter removal tool. Okay, here she comes.
Oh no.
That wasn't too bad. So now let's compare the sizes of these filters, just to make sure that they're gonna work. So, as you can see, they're pretty much the same size. You're gonna wanna prime your filter. So you're gonna take some of your oil, and you're gonna pour it down the hole, and fill up the filter. You're gonna wanna take your finger, get some of the new oil on there, and then run it around the gasket. So you want to keep your new filter relatively upright so that no oil pours out, and you wiggle her up there. I really hope I don't dump this. All suck. And then cant it over. Some might pour out, but then twist her back onto the oil filter housing. As tight as you can by hand. Slide her up there. So, after doing some research, we noticed or read on this particular engine that the oil capacity should be 5.4 to 5.7 liters for refilling the oil. That's with the oil filter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to top up the oil until we start reading it on the dipstick, because we're at such an incline. Then we're going to take it off the ramps and then fine tune the oil level from there. Yeah,
about halfway in there.
About halfway up the dipstick already, and we're on an incline. So we're gonna put the skid plate back on, and then we're gonna take it off the ramps. Okay, so we just topped up the oil. The oil level is now about 3/4 of the way up the dipstick. We're gonna close up the hood. And there she be. That's how you change the oil on a 2000 Toyota Progrès. This is kind of a cool car because this whole light assembly here is the same piece of plastic, but it looks separate because your hood pops up. But yeah, it's really cool how they design this, because it's one piece of plastic, but it creates like two lights there.